Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. We're back on the dev server because Gaijin has updated it once again with a bunch of changes, so I thought we'd stick them all into this one video so you can kind of see what's going on with it and all of the updated stuff. Also, the Normandy 44 event has started today, so we're going to be streaming it and kind of playing through it, so if you want to come along, make sure to do so. We'll be streaming on Twitch and also YouTube, playing War Thunder on the live server. And also, if you enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe and also like the video. Let's get started. The first vehicle that we're having a look at is the Mig-29 Sniper. I made a video about this earlier. It's been added to the dev server. It's going to be a rank 8, also BR 12.7 in air, Mig-29 premium for the Italian tech tree, so it shouldn't really be too surprising that it's turned up here. So just kind of let you know. Next one, we have a cool ship change. So basically, what they have done with most of the tech trees is, you know how it was like, oh, you need to research like all of the vehicles at the kind of higher rank to be able to get access to the next rank? Well, they've changed it slightly for like rank 5 and rank 6 for some of the ships. They basically lowered it a little bit, so it'll be a bit easier for you to actually get the higher tier stuff. So, you know, look forward to that at least. Otherwise, it would be kind of really annoying. The next thing is they've actually reduced the repair speed for the ships. So the engine repair speed used to be 34 seconds. Now it's 10 seconds. So they've made it a little bit nicer. For the F2A, this vehicle now has access to a new targeting pod. You can actually see it right here. It's kind of stuck on the model. It doesn't actually work yet, I don't think, which is kind of annoying. But you can see this is that pod that we were looking at in the files. I think it was like the AAQ33 maybe or something similar. It isn't showing in the setup though. You have the AAQ2 targeting pod. This is actually an additional one that you can see right here. So this one's just sat on the model. So they obviously haven't put it in yet. But this one should be the Sniper targeting pod. So it should be a lot better in terms of zoom and in terms of just being a lot clearer. They completely changed the flight model of the F2A again, basically adding in a bunch of different stuff to it and changing a lot of values. So once again, what you see before is not what you see now. The other thing is they've also changed the gun. So now it's the M61A2 cannon instead of the A1. I don't necessarily know the differences between them, but that's at least a change too. They've also kind of done the same thing with the flaps on the NF5A. This thing basically has a slightly different setup when it comes to its flaps, so it's able to change them at different angles, a little bit better and a little bit worse. And also a lot of the Hornets, including the A-18C Late for Germany, the new one that's coming in, they also changed the wing strength on it, so it should be able to take a little bit more in terms of G-load, and also they increased its empty mass by about 100 kilos, so nothing too crazy, but it does mean it will be a little bit heavier going forward. Another thing they've also done for this Austrian, sorry, I don't know why, but I keep saying Austrian, Swiss, and it's getting in my head, you know, for some reason I've cocked this up like 3 or 4 times, my bad. But basically, for this vehicle, it has a pod on it, which is the ATFLIR pod. Wow. And what this one has now is it has some pretty cool features. So you can see it right here. It has a better thermal, so 1200 to 800, and also the zoom has increased. So now its minimum range is 12 times, and its maximum is 105 times. So just to like kind of show you what this is like, 105 times, isn't that insane? And also this thing gets Mavericks. I don't think we've ever seen something that has had that kind of far of a range on a targeting pod, this good old ATF thing. So you can see it's like a thermal thing too, and then it's just got a ridiculous zoom on it. And then this is the other one, whoop, and there's the zoom, right? So that island is over there, and you can literally pinpoint the goddamn house and just annihilate stuff with it. Absolutely insane how good that targeting pod is on the vehicle. So yeah, look forward to that. There's also some changes to the Mirage IIIS CS. So the Mirage IIIS C70, I should say. They still haven't fixed the Falcon. So that still doesn't work, unfortunately, but they have been screwing with some of the systems. So this did have CCIP for its guns, rockets, and bombs. No longer does. Also doesn't have the CCRP either. So it looks like this vehicle is not going to get any guided systems apart from the missiles on it. That kind of sucks because obviously this vehicle does have at least, you know, some interesting things it could have done with the bombs, but now you might as well just take the big AS-30 missile. The other thing is they added a new cockpit for it. So this one's going to have a different one compared to what it had before. So this is the cockpit. You can see it's pretty beautiful. Look at that like little map at the bottom. Isn't that enjoyable? And then also you can see a mixture of like English and then probably some German or French, which is in this place. So yeah, the cockpit itself is beautiful. It's really nice. And super happy that they've gone in. It's fully functional as well in terms of it. The actual HUD is also super chill, so not really a ton going on there. But yeah, you have the RWR, you have the radar, you have the tactical map. Overall, just a really nice experience to look at this. So let's talk about some other stuff with these vehicles. The sensor changes. So there's been a lot of radar changes over the last little bit for the high-tier vehicles, right? This is something that happens quite a lot. Remember that a lot of these radars got access to be able the NCTR setup. So you can see like the IRIS, for example, it should have access to this, and same with the Swedish Elde. I'm pretty sure like all of these machines should get the NCTR thing, which is basically like the tracking thing where you can kind of see what you're shooting at, right? So you don't want to shoot at your allies. But what has also happened is they've expanded it. So basically, it's just easier for the machines to actually see what they're targeting. So you'll have more kind of names of vehicles which are sat there. Now, the TANSAM, the search radar on this, the good old Type 81TA, they've actually changed the elevation limits. So now it's up to 70 degrees, where before it was only 20, which obviously isn't great, but 70 is much more standard compared to all the other ones. And also the width is 35 instead of 10, and the center elevation is now 35 too. So that's a big change, big buff for the TANSAM Kai. Really nice to see. The Spyder, they've actually modeled the missiles. So you can actually see them here in this kind of backlog, and it has the Python 5. So you've got the Python 5s now, which have turned up. These are the general stats of them. So a launch range of 15K, lock on in all aspect 9K, and also pretty fast, and of course the IRCCM. So now you have the IR guided missile, and then you also have the AR guided missile, the active radar homing one. What they actually said in the devlog for these active radar homing ones, or at least they did for the Type 81C, I should say. So for this one here, they actually said that with the active radar homing missile, you'll actually be able to fire it even if your radar isn't working, as long and then it will kind of like try and find the target as you fired it. So you kind of dumb fire it, and then it goes after the target later, which I think is really interesting. The fact that they're adding that in, and you can see here that you can actually mix and match with the Pythons and the Derbies, which is kind of fun. So you could take like a bit of both. But yeah, so the Spyder itself is getting buffed. They still haven't fixed really the camera. It's still like way too close, but you can see there the multi-jet. And of course, there is the Python 5. Look how maneuverable that thing is. God damn. Like, did you see how quickly it moved off the thing? Oh dear. All right, never mind. Never mind. Didn't say anything. Didn't say absolutely anything. You didn't hear anything. But yeah, you can see how it like wanders about. And let's see if it can actually hit the target. But yeah, I cannot be held accountable for what happens on the dev. So there you go. Look, it's amazing. It's absolutely fantastic. It's absolutely crazy. Now, I don't know. One of the things is if we have the radar down, are we actually able to lock onto something with this? Kind of. Not really, though. So yeah, you still need the radar in order to give you like the access. They also lowered the amount of time that you need between the firing of the missiles. So you can fire them all between like 0.2, and then they can all just miss, which is interesting. But yeah, this also has 8 DL channels instead of 4. So you can technically target 8 vehicles all at the same time with all of your 8 missiles. So you can just go like bang, 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 because there's only 0.2 seconds between each launch, which is pretty nuts. So yeah, that's kind of awesome, at least in my opinion. They've also done some changes to the premium vehicles, you know, the premium packs that are coming in for Russia, for Britain, and also America. So on the American Hellcat, the 30 cal is actually modeled now. So it does actually fire. You can actually see it moves. I don't know what it's attached to, whether it's attached to like the gunner or the commander, but this basically means, which is really funny, this is technically pay to win now, because the vehicle has access to an additional 30 cal compared to the standard one. But it's not a huge deal. Like, it really doesn't make any difference. But it's just kind of nice that you get something additional with your purchase. They've also changed some of the other vehicles. So the Soviet vehicles, the IS-1, it actually has its additional armor modeled now. So you see like the tracks that are around. So these tracks are now 30 millimeters worth of armor, and then also there's 4 millimeter of structural steel above the breech too, this little piece right here. So they've kind of done that, and then also they have added just a little bit on the top too. Don't think it'll make a huge difference, but yeah, it's basically just a little bit of general armor on it. The helmet, funnily enough, is actually modeled in as armor now. So you see like this helmet that's on the front on the light, this one is 4 millimeters worth of armor. So they straight up have taken the effort of modeling in the armor of this helmet, plus the tracks, and then plus like this little structural steel area above. The T-3485 has had kind of the opposite thing. So where the IS-1 got added armor, this one actually lost some. So it had a spore shield between the crew and the engine, which was 45 millimeters. Now that has actually changed. So it's only like 4 millimeters that exists now. So that's a lot smaller than it was. Won't really make a huge difference. The internal hull sides are also only like 5 millimeters now. So it's basically not going to have as much armor in the middle of it, which is going to do it in. The turret hatches are now RHA instead of CHA. And also the mantlet, it was 40 millimeters of RHA before. It is now 90 millimeters of CHA, the cast homogeneous armor, instead of the rolled. So we'll have to see how that kind of affects the vehicle, which is kind of cool. Also, at the same time, the Leclerc MSC had some of its armor stuff changed. So they basically removed 50 millimeters that was on the base of the thing, which was the turret floor, and they also added in the roof-mounted machine gun, so that actually works now. It has a 7.62 millimeter AA-NF1 machine gun, and also the 50 cal right here. So you do get a top-mounted machine gun, and this thing is still just heavier than the standard Leclerc, so I don't really know how that works. We'll have to see what kind of goes on. Other news about the Spyder that I should have mentioned, they changed the radar on it itself. So now it's the one that was in the files, the Spyder AIOTA radar. And basically doesn't really make, a massive difference apart from, it's just got the name now. The launcher speed is a lot quicker, so it'll go up and down a lot quicker. You can see the reload rate here as well, and also the horizontal guidance being really nice. So yeah, it's generally pretty good. The PT-95, one of the funniest things about this one, we did talk about how it got depth charges, right? Well, they forgot about the auxiliary armament to it, so now that modification got added, and the other part of it is the 50 cals were labeled as the primary, right? So you could fire all the guns at the same time. Kind of showed this in like the little video we did about it. Well, they've got rid of that. So instead of that, what's happening is these are now secondaries and this is a primary. So you won't be able to fire them together. You'll have to individually control them. But also, it does mean that these will be controlled by AI if you are using the 20. So depending on your playstyle or depending on what you prefer, that's at least a little bit easier. Then they changed the armor on the Gneisenau again. So once again, just changing so much, like little pieces of armor on naval vehicles. I'm not really going to cover them too much just because of the fact that they just change all the time. The Roma lost its funny guns. So you know how we talked about this thing just randomly has these like two 120 millimeter Armstrong guns on this side and then also on the opposite side? So these ones, they've removed them from the vehicle. So they're there on the physical model, like you can literally see them, right? But if you have a look over here, they are no longer part of the setup, which is super weird. Another thing to also mention, you know how we looked at that Z10 earlier in the files, that kind of like more modern export version of it, and how it had access to the DIRCM system? Well, it looks like that's something that's going to be coming to a bunch of vehicles in a much bigger way. You know, when they added like the K52 and the Mi-28NM, they talked about the idea that they kind of have like these dazzler systems that kind of go against the IR setup of things, right? I don't know if you guys remember that, but that was a long time ago. It's part of like the Morse system, where it creates like a fake version of the helicopter around, so the missile doesn't know how to actually find it. And you can see here the laser warning receiver, the L140, which is on this thing. Well, it looks like, at least to me, that's what they're doing. So they're adding in a baseline laser DIRCM detection range of 200 meters, which is coming in for any vehicle that has a DIRCM, which is a directional infrared countermeasure system, basically. So that Z10 in the files has it. I'm pretty sure some of the vehicles that we have in the game, such as stuff like the Mi-28NM and also the K52, also have these systems. You can see the IRCM block, which is actually modeled on the K52. So it looks like helicopters are going to be able to defend against IR stuff better. And they're just adding the values of the kind of IRCM to a lot of weapons in the form of detection. So these vehicles will be able to see these things when they're fired at them, and the IRCM will be able to deal with them, right? So that's at least the idea. We'll have to see what goes on. I don't know if that's just also for aircraft, because they've also added a baseline DIRCM detection range to certain vehicles, such as like the Elde. So I wonder if that's like going to also affect these guys, where they're going to be able to see what's coming after them. But I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work. If it's going to work like a laser warning receiver, or if it's going to work in other ways. So who knows? That's just kind of something that's interesting to see. They changed the weight of the Yukikaze again. The poor one just keeps flipping from obese and anorexic. So this one obviously isn't fully finished yet. And they also, at the same time, changed a bunch of maps when it comes to what kind of naval vehicles spawn on them. If you've been looking at kind of like the update changelogs, one of the things that they've been focusing on is adding carriers with like destroyer escort to maps, and they've been doing that. And it's been really cool to see that they're doing that, but also they keep like modifying it and changing it. We showed some in one of the videos a bit earlier on, but it looks like any map which is going to have access to some water, any RRB map is going to get some. So Battle for Spain, Denmark, Guadalcanal, New Guinea, you know, all of these will all have some carriers and some destroyers for either team. And I don't think you'll be able to spawn on them, but you'll be able to land on them and repair if you're able to, which I think will actually be pretty cool. Gives you another kind of string to the bow of how to play. So yeah, there's a lot of changes in this dev server. Still a bunch of vehicles in the files, still a bunch of stuff that isn't fully finished, but we're getting there, and that is the most important. So as always, I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Warthunder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.